Hi, hello, and welcome, or welcome back. I suppose you're getting the mug again because I'm hoping this will be a bit of a short video, just a little ramble, because I don't know that I have a huge amount to say on the book I'm going to be talking about today, so a full scripted video, not really necessary. But the book there's going to be girls at the party! My voice has been cracking so bad. Like I've said in my last couple of videos, I've been sick, but not the point. Meant to be a quick video. We're going to be talking about The Keeper of Stories by Sally Page. And I went into... Oh my god, there is cat hair on every single part of my microphone. Yeah, so I went into this because I love books about storytelling. I spoke about Cloud Cuckoo Land earlier this year, and that is just a masterpiece on being a story about storytelling. And I wasn't expecting the same vibes from this, but I was expecting something that was a bit more literature focused, and it is like there's a lot of love of books in there, but it isn't really what I was expecting, and that's fine. It wasn't something I disliked. Sorry, I should give a bit of a overview. So we have a woman named Janice. She's in her 50s. She's been married for quite a while, and her husband's bellend. He just doesn't care for her. He doesn't listen to her, and he presumes he's always right. He's been going from job to job to job, and because he thinks he's always right in every situation. And she's a cleaner, is Janice, and we see that she collects stories from everybody that she meets, especially those who she cleans for, and we learn that basically she picks up bits of their life, and that helps her to focus on things. It helps her to put things in line by using other people's stories, in the same way that a lot of people read books as a way to see themselves in a certain way. You can see your story personified in a book. She kind of does that, but with real people's stories. And again, it's interesting enough, but I just was never really hooked by it, which is sort of an annoying one. It is one of those things, I think I've spoken about this before, where when you get a book, like that was the most basic overview. There's obviously a lot more that goes on, but there's your basic, what you need to know before going into a book. This book, bloody hell. But the thing with this is that, like I said, I think I've spoken about this before, where if a book is wholly uninteresting, then it's really easy to just go, well, I'm not going to read it then, put it down, move on to the next thing. But this wasn't that. But it also wasn't, like, super enjoyable. Not even like, oh my god, this is going to be my favourite book in the world. That's fine. I don't expect every book I read to, like, wow me. If I go through the list of everything that I've read this year, not everything's going to be, like, the best book ever. This is my favourite thing. Some things are. I mentioned Cloud Cuckoo Land earlier. That's definitely on my favourites list for this year because I just thought it was beautiful. But some things end up in the middle. But this was like just below middling for me. And I think that's where I'm just like, oh. Because a big part of it is that a lot of the dialogue did not feel natural. There's just this feeling of reading a book when people are talking. There are certain characters as well that fit into that. One of them being a really major character, Mrs. B, where she feels like a character in a book, and that's sort of the point, is that she's a character. She used to be a spy and she's got all this knowledge and advice, but there's so much of this that feels grounded, and she just doesn't. And I remember there's one, so while she's cleaning for Mrs. B has been telling her this story of, not really, but a woman called Becky. Is it Tess the D'Urbervilles that's pulled from? No, I don't think so. I can't remember which book it's pulled from now. A classic book, just not one that I've read, so it doesn't stick in here. But point is, she calls the name, she tells of this story of a woman named Becky who was around in the late 19th, early 20th century. Mostly early 20th century, right? And then there's this moment where Janice learns of a shocking moment. I'm not doing spoilers for this one, or I'm trying to avoid them. And she learns of a big shocking moment in this series, and she goes, "Oh, wow. Oh my goodness, really?" Those aren't the exact words, but that's basically what's written. It's basically how it comes across. It feels very, like, it feels false. And I don't know how else to phrase it. Never many moments like that where I'm just like, I feel like I'm reading dialogue. I don't feel like I'm reading a conversation. I feel like I'm seeing characters performing. And that, I think, is what always kept me from, like, falling into it. Because this is the sort of thing that I would enjoy usually. Like, it's in the same sort of space as I would put a lot of Lucy Diamond books in, but the thing about Lucy Diamond stuff, and this is not me trying to, who did I say this book by? I did say, something just fell over behind me. I did say it was by Kate Foster, didn't I? No, it's by Sally Page. Now I can't remember who I said it was by. Not important right now. We're past that point. It is by Sally Page, and I feel like I said it was by Kate Foster, who did The Maiden, which I read a few weeks ago. Not the point. Oh. My light wasn't plugged in. Am I still lit up long enough? Yeah, this is fine. I didn't need it anyway. But yeah, this is not meant to be like a... Oh, comparison to this author is just my point of reference. Is one of the huge reasons that I love Lucy Diamond stuff is that she does characters so naturally and so well, even if some of the stories are a little bit like, this is a story in a book. In the same way that sometimes when you watch a rom-com or something like that, and I'm not even talking like Hallmark movie rom-com, just your run-of-the-mill stuff, sometimes it's a little bit like you can suspend your disbelief. Because it feels realistic enough. My cat is trying to break in. Oi! Every time. But yeah, like... So it feels grounded, even when there's something not 100% feeling natural sort of thing. And as I always say, I love character-driven narratives, and that's what this is. But the thing with that is that I have to be able to find the characters believable, and there's a few of them in here that are just either they feel false or they just feel like caricatures. And don't get me wrong, I liked Janice well enough. She wasn't the, like... She's never going to be my favourite literary character, but she worked for exactly what she was in the book. But I just found that with everyone, I was just a bit like, not quite there. Which is a shame. But like I said, I did not hate this book at all. It just had issues. Which, there are also things that I liked, which I now feel really rude because I feel like I have to think about it. But there are... Oh, that was it. She knows when to keep something short and when to make something a longer story point. So there's a moment... one of the people that she cleans for, because she becomes friends with everyone that she cleans for, that we see in the book. And there's a mother who has a preteen son, and her husband, the son's father, took his own life. And there's just been this blow up because the son's finally just been like, we don't talk about this properly, I've had enough, and he runs off for a moment. He doesn't run off for a moment, he doesn't run back either, but like, I think that spans a couple of chapters, and the chapters are not long. There are a lot of chapters in the book, but they're all relatively short, but I think it spans a chapter or two, and it runs its course, and I just remember thinking, It was perfectly timed. It was played out really well because I genuinely felt for everybody there. I was a little nervous, but I sort of had that, this is probably the kind of book where a 12-year-old boy is going to be fine. And I sort of just went, yeah, that was the best scene, and I think it showed a lot of characters off really well. Janice's, because she does end up leaving her husband. I don't care about that, spoiler alert, because it's obvious that's where it's going. And she gets a love interest within it, and he shows himself off really nicely in there. That's sort of where I actually started to enjoy what they had, because just the way he put himself forward in that scene, because it wasn't just for her, but it was for people that she cares about, but that he's only met a few times at this point. And I know it's like a basic thing, you gotta go find a 12-year-old child, but he's very protective of everybody, and I really like the way that worked. And once it's concluded, Janice just gets this moment, because she's very mousy, she is quiet, and she just doesn't like to kick up a fuss, but she just has this moment where she goes, I'm fucking sick of this, and calls out one of the people that's been causing her the most issues throughout the book that isn't her husband, and she just goes at him, and it's very cathartic. It's quite nice. It does read a little bit like a scene in a book, but it's one of those, it's like, I know the genre I'm in. There are certain moments where I can forgive a moment like that, even in my, what I was saying earlier, with it feels a little bit unnatural. That in a book where everything was otherwise a lot more natural, I think I would have been like, yeah, you go girl, that kind of vibe. In this one, I was like, you know what? Good for her. But I wasn't, raging about it. And I did also really like the scene where she does dump her husband, where she just goes, we're done. Because it's not the moment she has with the other sort of villain, where she just screams in his face. He goes from job to job to job, because he always thinks he's right about everything, and he has to overcorrect every person who he works with, because he's always right. And he's left his last job, and he's seeming to be joining a new one. He's going to a lot of meetings, and turns out what he's done is he's basically joined an MLM, and he's spent all of their thousands, tens of thousands of pounds. He's got boxes of the cheap cleaning utensils around the house, just boxes and boxes of it. And she just has this moment where she doesn't scream at him, she doesn't shout. She raises her voice once and she stands up to him, but it's mostly just this tiredness. And I really like the way that it's portrayed there, where she just goes, we're done. I can't do this. We're done, we're finished, we're not fixing this. And I felt like that was one of the most natural scenes in the whole book, because that so easily could have been a blazing row. And I think it being just, okay, I've been wanting to do this for a bit, and especially because it came a little after she'd had a moment where she sort of did have I'm at the end of my fucking rope with somebody else going off about her husband. But she stays with him for a little while, and then it's like something just clicks, and she goes, I actually can't fucking do this. I'll figure something out. I don't care how it works. I'll figure something out. And yeah, like I said, this book is fine. Maybe if you are in more of a similar age range to Janice, maybe it's one of those where I'm just not connecting because of that, which is fair enough. But again, I read plenty by people like Lucy Diamond, who most of her characters are also women in their sort of 30s to 50s. I mean, I'm nearly in my 30s, but they are generally 40 plus, I would say. Apart from there's usually one character who's a little younger, but then there's the nice sort of experience handed to them kind of thing. But yeah, it might just be one of those cases. Well, this might just not be for me. I think that's fair enough. It was fine. I just couldn't connect with it fully. And that happens sometimes. But it just means that I'm unlikely to find anything else by Sally Page, which happens, but there are plenty of people that in that genre who I can turn to very easily. There's also Freya North, who I've read a couple of her books, and they're always very heartwarming. And then let's get on to next week, which is my last review of the year, because the week after that I'm just going to do a roundup. End of the year, this is what I've read, this is what was good, this is what was shite, that sort of thing. But next week, because this will be coming out on the 23rd, I figure let's make it a bit Christmassy and read The Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. I managed to get myself the beautiful edition that's like, I think they're the cloth-bound covers, I think that's what they're called. I have the Colour of Magic and Good Omens as well, shame about one half of that, but I still do love the book. I'm just not gonna... I bought that before I knew. I got these fucking tattoos on me before I knew. For context. Got a little... You can see the little shades in the devil horns. Then got a bow tie in the halo. Got that before I knew what Neil Gaiman was, which is allegedly a piece of shit. But less said about that the better right now. We're getting to the end of the year. We want to keep it cute, cozy, and frankly, also this might, I say this is going to be coming out on the 23rd, might be the 24th, because I'm going to wrestling soon. When you're seeing this, I will be at wrestling soon after, which I'm very excited about. I'm going to AEW in Manchester, which I'm super excited for. Oh, my lazy eye just went off bad. Oh, my eyes are not facing the same direction. Do you mind? Something just flashed on my screen. I've got demons. Brilliant. There are demons in my screen, so let's wrap this up. And what I was saying was with my eyes is because I wear my glasses the rest of the time, but if I do that now, I get glare on them. Look at that. Can't be having that. It doesn't help anyone. So, yeah. Next week, we got Hogfather. Hopefully on Tuesday. Maybe on Wednesday. Or maybe I'll just release it on Christmas Day. Feel free to like. Oh, actually, no. I should do comments. Let me know what you're doing for Christmas this year or something. Let me know if you have any books that you always read this time of year. Any films that you watch this time of year. They don't have to be Christmassy, but what are your Christmas traditions regarding books and maybe some films and all that good stuff. I'm tired. It's not even that late. I think it's like 7:30. Feel free to like, feel free to subscribe, and feel free to ring the notification bell, all the cringe shit I'm supposed to ask you to do. Also, feel free... No. Also, I hope you have a wonderful day. Why am I so red? What do I look like? I've been, like, sunburnt. I've been inside all day. It's also not been sunny. It's been pissing it down. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, a wonderful whenever you are watching this. Take good care of yourself. Right.